everybody. Welcome to the Heaven or Bust YouTube channel. My name is Joe. I've been wanting to start this channel for a while now and haven't really been sure how to do it. Found myself on the road out here in the middle of Nevada. Been on the road for about 6 months now, kind of living all over and traveling, having adventures, serving, meeting really good people. And I found that one of the things I really like to talk to people about is the times in our lives where God was working and we didn't realize it. I thought maybe a good way to start here would be to tell you about a time in my life when God was working and He actually saved my life and I didn't realize it. Maybe it'll help you to look back on your own and see those times in your life that He was there, and maybe you just weren't paying attention. You guys, if you follow me, and if you watch my testimony, you know by now that I'm the son of a mechanic, specifically a BMW, Volvo, Mercedes mechanic. When I was in college, or right before I went to college, my first car really was a 1978 Volvo. Real boxy, it was mustard yellow. Just a cool car, but the opportunity came to upgrade where I could basically sell that car for the same amount that it would cost me to buy a little 1987 BMW from my dad. He had a customer that was selling one and they weren't asking very much for it, and it needed a few things and Dad could fix them. So anyway, I ended up buying this 1987 BMW and driving it to college, and I loved this car. It was the first kind of cool car I ever had in my entire life, and it wasn't very fast, but I mean, to me, it was a BMW. It was fast, whether it was fast or not, but it handled pretty well. And anyway, so I drove up to college. I went to college at the University of Idaho, which is about 300 miles north of Boise. So I got really used to making that drive over and over again. And by the time I had this car, I'd probably done the drive 10 times or something like that. I don't know, it was a lot. So I felt pretty comfortable on the road. Hopefully this RV isn't rattling around too much. I'm going about 65 through Nevada, and this thing's got a lot of squeaks and rattles, but we'll manage. Anyways, so it was near Christmas time. I was heading back to town for Christmas, I think. Maybe Thanksgiving, but I think it was Christmas. When we headed down for Christmas, I was in a fraternity at the time, and everybody would kind of leave at the same time, and we'd all sort of head down, the same way, obviously. If it worked out, we would all meet up for dinner at Lardo's in McCall. So anyway, we were heading down, and we ended up doing that, met for dinner at Lardo's, and had a nice dinner. And then once you're in McCall, you're only about 2 hours away from Boise. And so for me, it was like a race, kind of funnily enough, before dinner at Lardo's, just drive down to Boise during Christmas time is like this massive thing. The whole college drains, and all of the people that are going to that college start driving down to Boise at pretty much the same time. So you have these, way more traffic than you would ever have at any other given time of the year, just right around this time. And so heading down that way, there were some large lines of cars, and I think there was some road work going on at the time too. So the cars would get backed up, and then there would be these huge caravan, long lines of cars that were moving kind of slowly. Some of these caravans are 100 cars long, and so one of the ways to speed up your travel on these little highways through Idaho, you pass cars. You go around on the left and you pass them. And that day, there was a particular time where there was a massive long line of cars in front of me, and I'm not a very patient driver. This RV has really changed things for me a little bit to where I can definitely, slow down and just, enjoy the drive. But I've never been a very patient driver. So anyway, this particular day, there was massive long line of cars, and I was impatient. I'm 19, and I'm in a BMW. I want to get around them, and I want to go fast. And so I started passing on the left once we got down Wyvern Hill, and I just kept going. I mean, I passed like 10 cars, and then no other cars started coming the other way, so I passed 10 more, and I'm just driving in the in the oncoming traffic lane, and no other cars are coming. So 10 more cars, 10 more cars. I just keep going. This went on for like 2 or 3 miles. There were no cars coming the other way, and I was just driving in the oncoming traffic lane, passing all these cars. And then finally, I saw another car coming right as I pulled in front of the lead car, and was in the lead. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, it was super dangerous, but it was also just really awesome. So anyway, that kind of bolstered my confidence on that drive. And so anyway, we had dinner. We had dinner at Lardo's in McCall, and then I was all anxious to get back on the road with my my newfound confidence or whatever. And it was getting kind of dark out, but I didn't care. Back then I was 19. I was invincible. So I'm driving. I take off, and there's no point in caravanning with my friends anymore. We're just gonna pull into Boise and go our separate ways. So I just started speeding ahead. I'm going through the mountain passes, tearing around. I'm going way too fast. And I get down towards Banks, and my radio at the time didn't work. And so I had this little boom box sitting in the center console next to me so I could listen to some music on the way. I can't really remember exactly how it happened, but I'm coming down this hill. It's going probably 85 miles an hour, and the music stopped on my boombox, so I leaned over to restart the CD or whatever. I'm looking down in the center console next to me, and I couldn't have been looking down for more than a couple seconds, but I looked up, and all of a sudden there was this sharp left turn in front of me, and I just totally panicked. I mean, I didn't know how to drive, really. I mean, I'd only been driving for a couple of years. I certainly didn't know how to drive fast. I'd never really, put a fast car through its paces. So anyway, this massive left turn comes up in front of me. These signs saying, sharp turn, and I just totally panic. And I start the turn, and I slam on my brakes, which is the worst thing that you can do in a situation like that. Immediately started hearing tires screeching, and the car literally just came out from underneath me. Just started spinning. And I don't even know how many times it spun. I mean, it felt like it just spun around, 3-4 times. The river was on the right. This was a left-hand turn. The river, Snake River, was on the right side of me, and a mountain was on the left. As the car spun, it just kind of went across both lanes of traffic. There were no other cars coming the other way, thankfully. But I ended up backwards in the ditch on the opposite side of the street. The car was at this point had stopped spinning, and it was just moving in reverse. And it started to climb up the side of the mountain and caught on a boulder on the right rear side and shot me back around the other way, and finally landed me, stopped in the ditch facing down the hill. I mean, it was a massive wreck. I mean, this felt like it went on for like a minute. All of this spinning and chaos, and the car was completely totaled. The entire back end was totally destroyed. I got out of the car, and I threw my hazards on, I guess, and I got out of the car and looked around. I mean, the car was absolutely just completely destroyed. This was an 85-mile-an-hour crash. There were no airbags or anything like that. This should have killed me, and I walked away without a scratch on me. I mean, I wasn't even sore the next day. It was just, the funny thing is that I remember as I went into the spin and all hell started breaking loose. I remember not being afraid. I wasn't worried at all. I mean, it was like I didn't think anything bad was going to happen to me whatsoever. I had no fear for my own safety. It was the only thing that was really going through my head at that moment was, man, this is really going to screw up my new car. I mean, it wasn't even really a new car. It was an '87, so I mean, by that time it was, 13 years old. But yeah, no, I mean, it was weird. It was like this comfort came over me. But, at the same time, I knew that it wasn't going to all be okay. That, stuff was going to get broken. But anyway, it's kind of one of those, it's one of those things where it's a story that I've told a lot of times before, but I never, and I don't know why, but I mean, back then, I couldn't see God in it. It just didn't even occur to me. And now, looking back on it, it's like, wow, I mean, he was all over that. I mean, I was covered in angels. I had blessings raining down upon me as that insanely deadly wreck that should have taken my life happened. And that's not the only time that something like that has happened to me. I mean, I've been so blessed in my life and saved by God so many times, and I'll tell you about him if you want to hear about him. I mean, it goes back to my very birth. I should have even been born, but God was there that day, and it's funny that it took me so long to start hearing him, to start realizing that he was there, that he was acting in my life and protecting me and showing me the way. You would think that would have been the moment where I said, oh, I get it. God is with me, and I should start paying attention to him. But no, it took more than 20 years after that for that to happen. It's just funny. I just kind of driving on this road, and I just kind of thought of that, and I wanted to share it with you that God is acting in your life. He's calling out to you all the time. He's doing things all the time to try and get your attention. Funnily enough for me, what finally did it was a moment of despair and a phone call. But he finally found a way, and I finally started listening. And life has been amazing ever since then. Ever since I finally let him in and started listening and started following and obeying, life has just been on autopilot. God is in the driver's seat, and I am a passenger, and he's just taking me on adventures and showing me the time of my life. So God is acting and working in our lives all the time, and will even step in to save us from harm and death. And so that begs the question, why? Why does he do this? Well, I'll tell you. It's because he has something for us to do. He has some work for us to perform that we haven't completed yet. And the good news is this. If he saved us up to this point, and he's preserved us for this work up to this point, it means we ultimately get it done. He's not going to let us go. He's not going to let us fall until that work is complete. And it's a pretty warming feeling to know that you live under the protection and the love of God, guiding you and preserving you for whatever work it is that he has for you. I take a lot of comfort in that. I take a lot of comfort in the fact that I succeed in the end, that we succeed in the end together. and that I don't have to worry and be afraid and, you know, wonder what's next, because it doesn't matter. God's driving, and He's a way better driver than I ever was, so obviously. So anyway, yeah, I just take a lot of comfort in the fact that God has something for me, and you should take comfort in the fact that He has something for you, because He does. You're here. You're still here. And I know people out there have been through so much more than I have, and think of how much you've been through, and look back on the times that you shouldn't have made it, but you did. He was there. He was there. Yeah, anyway, thank you for watching this first video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, or if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. You can also reach me through my website at heavenorbust.org. That's actually a really good way to keep tabs on me. I have a blog on there where I document all of my adventures, and that will be updated periodically, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you for the support. Be well, be blessed, and remember, always remember, God exists.